Hello, English language learners and English language teachers all around the world. I'm Venette Cook at Beautiful English, where I share poems for us who teach and who learn English and speak English all around the world. One time when I was in a poetry class, my teacher began with the question, why poetry? It's such a great question. Why not just study grammar and vocabulary when we're learning English or any other language so that we get the structure, the vocabulary, and learn to communicate that way? So I think that's an interesting question for us all to think about is why poetry as part of learning English? In some traditions, poetry is a lot about romance, family, and sometimes it's about problems in the world. So sometimes we call that protest poetry. And we find that in every language all around the world through old times and through current times. And this poem is really inspired by a student who wrote a poem in a class where I had been a visitor and shared a poem. And she wrote a poem that had a lot of questions in it. And it reminded me about that first question, why poetry? And then I got the idea of this poem that I'm going to share with you now. So I'll share the words to the poem below, as I usually do, and I'm always interested in your comments and in your ideas about why poetry. And if you are a teacher and you want to use this poem or talk with me about it, you can send me a message. And you can always find me at beautifulenglish.net. And thanks for listening. So here's the poem. How can this poem help you? How can this poem help you? Ask your boss for a raise. Will the rhyme or emotion clear the air or clear the daze? How can this verse explain that you can't work a double shift without taking breaks off your feet and solid rest? Will your mind drift? How can this beat make clear that the pace and the space aren't safe? Do faster, harder, and longer bring risks too big to take? How can my words reach out to call for dignity for each one? Can we find our rhythm together on one earth under one sun? So there's lots of questions in that poem, and I'm very curious to hear about your answers and any other comments. So as always, thanks for listening. Have a beautiful day and enjoy all the many questions that you have in our beautiful world.